Welcome to this week's edition of Skippable News. My name is Jason Brown.
I'm Jimmy T.
And we will be going out on location to Bill Snyder as he's freezing his little hiney off to do our new weather. Alexa's been banned, so that's how we stand. Here's this week's top stories. We did a random acts of kindness. We had Janet Hatfield in here talking about the Watershed Improvement Program. Chris Langley interviewed Heather Carr on our Spotlight on County Schools. Fred Rowe with the Fly Fishing Report. Bill Snyder, like we said, on location with the weather, and the butt hurt comment of the week. Let's go right into random acts of kindness. We had Sarah from Grocery Outlet approach us about pulling people over and giving them giving them a gift card for obeying the law. We had the Bishop Police Department agree to do it, so we went out with Officer Peak yesterday and we pulled over this person and gave them a $50 gift certificate for Grocery Outlet. Loved it, loved it. Thank you. Didn't think.
Pulled you over?
Nope.
I pulled you over because you were driving really safe and did a good job.
Oh,
I saw
I
you
know.
stop twice.
I know. That
So-
guy he didn't even look
Right.
when he crossed the crosswalk.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't had a ticket since I was 21, and
You're not
What?
getting
Yeah.
one.
I'm 65.
You're not getting one today. We just really appreciate
Yeah.
how safe you're driving.
I know,
So
people are just walking across the crosswalk without even eye contact. And,
we appreciate
Come over here, Jimmy.
We appreciate the safe driving. So what we want to do for you
oh my
today.
God, I've had 2 great days. Okay, I just broke my finger.
Oh no.
And I've had some, my boyfriend broke his back.
Oh, that's not good.
So he's not working. And I'm in one of the RVs down there in the end. So.
Well, hopefully we make your day a little bit better because you were driving safe.
Yeah,
Laughing Parrot Grocery
watching
Outlet, we'd
these
like to
people.
provide you with a
Oh my
$50
gosh.
gift certificate to
As
Grocery
long as you
Outlet.
don't mind being on
Thank
Skippable
you.
News on YouTube from
I
Sierra
sure
Wave.
don't.
We
How's
just-
my hair look?
You gotta.
Fantastic.
Oh, should I have
So you stopped twice at the crosswalk.
Because
We were trying to get you. It sounds horrible, but we were trying to stop you back with the UPS truck.
Oh,
We
I
couldn't
know.
get over,
And
and
we
then we
couldn't
saw
get
you
over.
stop at the stop sign over here, so we're like,
And
that's
I'm
perfect.
so glad that he was paying attention, because I had to stop kind of suddenly because I didn't know if that guy was going to walk not the crosswalk, but walk the sidewalk or go on the crosswalk.
Well, Officer Peak was like, "This is fortuitous because we do need to get your sign and date."
Too bad
But,
I don't have a TV, but
You can watch it on your phone on YouTube.
Oh,
Sierra
I
Wave.
can?
It'll be this Friday.
Okay, well, thank you. Guys, I was a little worried because like I said, I'm 65. I hadn't had a ticket, got pulled over since I was 21.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it worked out.
Yeah, you're technically not pulled over now, so.
Well, my brother says I drive like a old lady, but I can't even drive down south anymore because.
Paid off today, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, it worked out today.
Oh, print and sign?
Yeah, I just need a date. What's today? The 8th.
That was my lucky number, too. Well, I appreciate that you guys did that. I'm a little nervous because I thought I was going to get
I'm sure everybody's looking around too in here like, what's going on in the parking lot?
CEO's a friend of mine, so.
Yeah, Jen.
I'm at the office right now.
What was your name?
Robin.
Robin? Robin, if I can fist bump you. Thank you for letting us
Thank
do
you
this.
Thank you for driving safe.
Thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
that.
I appreciate it.
Loved it, loved it. Thank you. Didn't think Peak was going to get a word in there edgewise. She was definitely nervous about getting pulled over, but she technically didn't get pulled over. Helped her day out. $50 gift card to Grocery Outlet. What else we got?
We're going to talk to Janet Hatfield, she wears many, many different hats. She's working on the Watershed Improvement Program in Mammoth, and it has a lot more to do with firefighting and containment. So this is a great program.
Hi, I'm Chris Langley, and I'm with a very special guest who has a new project that is very impressive and I think will affect us positively down the road. And I have Janet Hatfield here, and she is the director. And I have to look at my notes. The Eastern Sierra Climate and Community Resilience Project. We don't have a great name for that. It doesn't even work as an acronym. So it's nicknamed the Donut, and she will explain why it's called the Donut.
Sure.
And I got into this because Randy Cook, who we did an interview with on JobSpot, he thought it was the future of some jobs for people, both in Inyo and Mono counties, particularly Mono counties. But
Sure.
so the Donut. Why do we call it the Donut?
Well, it's a lot easier name to pronounce,
Yes,
as you
it
mentioned.
is. I agree.
But unfortunately, the donut doesn't sound
Serious.
like a real serious project when you're applying and competing for state and federal funds. So
True.
we had to give it a more sophisticated name. And we chose the Eastern Sierra Climate and Communities Resilience Project.
Oh, you're good at saying it.
Specifically to acknowledge sort of the importance of this project, not only to the town of Mammoth Lakes, where it's really centered, but to the Eastern Sierra as a whole, given sort of the economic driver that both Mammoth Mountain Ski Area and the town of Mammoth Lakes have, and all of us who benefit from that tourism that comes to and fro. So the project is called the Donut because the town of Mammoth Lakes is smack dab in the center. And it started really as a circle around how do we protect the town of Mammoth Lakes. And then we cut those boundaries that started as sort of a circle into more meaningful boundaries. And lo and behold, town's in the center and right in the donut hole. So
Yeah, so it's the donut
it's
hole.
the donut. Yeah. And that's just the easier way to think
Right.
about, remember it.
It helped me because
Yep.
immediately I could conceptualize,
Sure.
kind of how it looked on a map,
Right.
even before I saw a map
Right.
of it. So,
Right.
Excellent. So give us a general description of what it is, and then we'll kind of look at least some of the goals that the project has.
You bet. So the project, as we are planning it, is a landscape level forest restoration project that will perform what we call ecological forest restoration, or thinning, the thinning of trees across the landscape at a pretty significant scale. Approximately, the project is right now 55,000 acres. So it's about a 5-mile radius from the center of town in every direction. And that really is an acknowledgement of what we're seeing in the news media and the fire seasons getting progressively worse in recent years.
Yeah, I tried to breathe in even Lone Pine where there wasn't any fire.
Yeah.
And it was really not good for about 2 months.
Sure, and the smoke impacts us all, right?
Yeah.
So this is a problem that we all share across the Sierra Nevada.
Yeah. Yeah, they say it's good to share, but when it comes to smoke,
Right.
nobody wants to share.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so that's really the project, sort of why it's called the Donut and what it's hoping to do. And really, there's a growing need for these proactive measures on Forest Service lands because the density of trees has gotten way out of proportion. And that's for a number of reasons, but really about 100+ years of really effective fire suppression from all the land management agencies. And that has turned out, as time has proceeded on, we've learned that maybe wasn't the best management strategy because these dry mixed conifer forests, they're absolutely dependent on fire as a regenerative mechanism for them. So in the absence of that, these forests grow more dense and older and less healthy over time. And what's the end?
I have indigenous friends who are pretty knowledgeable, and they said that isn't the way we historically did it. And
Right.
they really talk about, burning off the brush and,
You bet.
and stuff and
Yeah.
thinning the forest.
Yeah, it's we have a lot to learn
Yeah.
from the native people here, and we're just slow in coming around.
Yeah. Are they involved in?
There's a very formal process into which to engage tribes, and we're really close to getting there. But where we're at in the planning process for this project right now is developing what are known as the proposed actions. So like, what is the formal plan? Like, what are we aiming to do? Because without that, it's difficult to come to the tribes and say, here's what we're going to do. We know generally, we can talk about we're going to go thin and whatever, but they want specifics, and that's a very formal engagement, government to government, to say, here's what we plan to do, and then you start getting their feedback.
Well, I want to stress this is the beginning.
Very, yeah.
You know, it's just really coming into existence. And there are 8 goals that you have set. I assume those are real goals. They won't be changed.
Yep.
The first one is really kind of wonderful. Protect the town of Mammoth Lakes. Talk a little bit about that.
It's really the inception for the project. We recognize that
the creek fire reminded you.
Well, this grant was submit and awarded well in ahead of the creek fire.
Oh.
It was really, I think, the campfire, if you remember, that happened in Chico Paradise.
Oh, yes.
2018.
I have a son who lives in Chico.
So that was the fire that really got the attention of everybody, because there was
Hot
the loss
and
of,
fast.
and there was a loss of life that was beyond what we'd seen in a long, long time. And that gets people's attention. And unfortunately, that's sometimes the trigger that allows this work to proceed with public acceptance.
Well, it's not news to anyone in California.
No.
And I have friends in Massachusetts who are as aware of it because they had smoke.
Yeah, we smoked out the East Coast this year.
Yeah, and they noticed.
Right. Oh, you noticed. Yeah.
So maybe that'll shake loose some more from the money tree.
Sure. Yeah. And I think the encouraging thing is that there is, unfortunately, so many incidents that are pointing in the same direction, that we have really good alignment between the state and the feds and all sorts of other partners that are all saying, yes, we need to do this work, and that's helped a lot get this project off the ground.
Yeah, I think it's proactive almost, and that's exciting to me. It's actually a responsible response to all the fires we're having.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, why can't they stop it, you know, and this is an attempt to control it and manage it.
Yeah, we like to say we're trying to intercept sort of the inevitable trajectory. You know, it's like we know what's going to happen eventually if we do nothing. So this is a strategy that we can use to get ahead of it.
So it says the second goal is allow for safe and effective fire management. What is fire management, or what does it look like or include? Yeah,
so I think it includes a lot of things. In the initial context, we're talking about fire suppression. So what you're seeing, why these fires are getting so big, is we call the same people that we call every time for a fire, and they arrive on scene, but the conditions are so out of whack that and the environmental conditions are so extreme with the drought that we're in the middle of, that there's not a lot they can do.
Are we in a drought?
Surprise. So it really is a nod to, hey, if we expect when we call 911 and these guys show up, if we expect them to be successful, we've got to give them a fighting chance. So these fuels projects help sort of give them tactical options. So when they arrive, they go, oh, okay, here we have this option, or this option, instead of driving up and going, ooh, looks like we better evacuate, move on out. And I think you're seeing, it doesn't matter how much money we spend, how many people we put on it, we're not being effective because the fuels are so far to the extreme, and that coupled with drought, it's just, there's not a lot you can do until we get these season-ending weather events. Yeah. So this goal, allow for this safe and effective, is, yes, when there's less fuel in the fire, you've all been camping, right? If it gets too hot, you either take a few steps back or you don't add any wood for a while, right? Same exact premise. If it's too hot, they can't effectively engage to suppress the fire and to get it to go in the direction or put it out.
Thank you, Chris, for bringing in Janet Hatfield to do that. What else did we have Chris in do?
Heather Carr from the schools.
Didn't he? Yes.
And it's a pleasure to listen to people from the schools talk about what they're doing, because they're actually making improvements and positive effects on the
Let's
future.
go to Chris Langley and Heather Carr, Spotlight Inyo County Schools.
Good morning. I'm Chris Langley, and this is another spotlight on Inyo County Schools. Today, we're honored to have Heather Carr here, who is the head of all of the special education services and then some. It seems like my list I have of all the things you're in charge of are really great. Well, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure to have you here. So where would you like to start? Just maybe what is special ed and
Sure.
what is SELPA?
Sure. So SELPA stands for Special Education Local Plan Area, and that essentially, in a nutshell, is the governing body over all of the special education services and the funding that comes from the federal and state government into all of our 6 local school districts and our charter schools in Los Angeles. And we have kind of like bylaws through our local plan that govern all of our policies and procedures through the SELPA that all the districts agree upon, that tell us how we're going to do what we're going to do and how we're going to provide these essential services for our special education population.
It's an amazing list of different things that you're in charge of. You're basically situated at the JKBS facility, is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
my office is there, but I do travel throughout the county and provide
Not to
support.
mention LA
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. Charter schools in Los Angeles, yes. And just keeping a pulse on and a touch on all the services that are being provided and making sure that what a student gets in our preschool or at Bishop Unified is also similar service or just as good of service in Lone Pine, Death Valley, or wherever it might be in the county.
So when you hear the word SELPA, educators are always talking about SELPA. That's what it means. So I think teachers sometimes and educators fall prey to acronym disease. So
For sure.
it sounds like we're talking a foreign language. So we're going to try and straighten out some of the meanings of these different acronyms. So where should we begin, do you think? You want to talk about the inclusive, the new, what is it called? Inclusive
The inclusive
preschool.
preschool program? Sure, yeah, we'll start with our youngest kiddos. We do provide some service to students 0 through 2 through Early Start. We don't have too many this year because we have other entities that help with that. So we got to focus this year on opening an inclusive preschool program. So we have 3 to 5-year-olds in the program, and we merged our Small Steps special day class with West Bishop State Preschool with the support of our Child Care Connection. And we've taken in 18 students, 9 are special education students and 9 are general, typically developing students. And they come together and they see each other 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, for about 3.5 hours at our West Bishop State campus, which is out by JKBS on Grandview. The benefits are tremendous for both our special education population and for typically developing peers to learn alongside one another. Our general education peers are good language models, good behavioral models, social models for our special education students that are learning all of those skills. And they've been referred to our program because they likely have deficits in that learning or those social or communication skills. I checked in with our preschool teacher the other day, as I do often, and she said that things are going really, really well. We're full.
Is this the first year?
This
you've
is
done
the
that?
first year.
So,
Yeah.
So it's really exciting that it's happening well, I guess.
Yeah, and our teacher to student ratio is really good. We have 1 teacher or aide, so 1 adult for every 4 kids in the class. So lots of support, lots of scaffolding, and our kids are actually making really good progress. We see more progress already in our inclusive program than we do when it's just a self-contained only SDC classroom.
Wow.
Because there aren't those good models to help bring, it's that peer influence a little bit that helps.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And then for the typically developing peers, it helps too because it's a more diverse population for them, and they're going to see and work alongside all of their peers, special ed, non-special ed, through kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade. So the earlier we can bring them together to socialize and become friends and build these relationships, the better.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with the idea, or is it commonly happening now?
Yes, it's common because it's in research and it's best practice to integrate We try to do the same thing in the elementary, middle schools, and high schools. The more you can put a special education student or a student with an IEP, a disability, in a mainstream classroom, it's called the least restrictive environment, the most time they can have with the typical population, the better.
And what is an IEP?
An IEP,
Another word that we use.
Yeah, the acronym, sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
Individualized education plan.
So it's
So
their
all of our
plan
kiddos,
for their education.
Yep, all of the special education kiddos go through a series of assessments to determine whether or not they are in fact disabled. And the team comes up with a plan, an individualized education plan to support their unique learning needs.
Now, something else that you oversee is the North Star Counseling Center service, I guess.
I do.
Why don't you talk about that?
Sure.
A lot of people, it's almost at the opposite end of what you were just talking about. So.
Yeah. North Star Counseling Center started a while back, but I have the privilege of helping direct that center now. We have 3 full-time counselors on staff that serve all of our schools also in Inyo County.
Which is great to have because they're not the easiest to find.
Correct.
And so we've been underpersoned for a while, but now we're much more able to service everybody who has a need.
And we're fortunate because they're great. They are dynamite. They're such great counselors, and they have really good relationships built with our schools and the students and families in which they're working already. We're only into the beginning of November, and I've heard nothing but positive feedback about our counselors. So they provide school-based services. A number of our schools do not have school counselors because they're just not big enough to really employ a full-time counselor. So we hire and we send them out to these school sites, and they support with social skills group and counseling, individual, family counseling, grief counseling, whatever it might be. They're there to pick it up and take it on. And right now, actually, all 3 counselors have a full caseload, which is can be both good and bad. Good because people are getting the support that they need through different crises and things. And also, I'm going to say the little bit of a bad side is that there are so many that need it, and now we're starting to wait list. But again, I just want to highlight the good that people are reaching out and getting the support that they need during tough times.
How do they do that? How does a person who feels they need the support of a counselor actually get it? What's the best, easiest way to do it?
Sure. They can call us. They can call the Special Education Department at ICOE. We have a direct line to North Star. Inyo County Office of Ed. Sorry. No more acronyms.
No, it's fine. We just have to identify what.
Trying to abbreviate our time right now. They can call Inyo County Office of Ed. They can call the North Star line. We do have a website. I think it's inyocoe.org, and the North Star link is on there. Or they can simply ask for a referral from one of the school districts. The school site counselors or administrators also refer to us all the time after they maybe meet with parents and have a student study team meeting or something like that. They'll get referred out to us and we pick them up.
Usually it's a part of the family or the entire family is involved somehow in the process. Because nobody just has one person problem. So it just seems like.
And having the family support somebody who may be going through a difficult time is important.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Heather, for coming in. Really appreciate it. Now, Fred Rowe with the Fly Fishing Report. I wasn't here, but Jimmy tells us that this is where he lists all the places that you do not want to fish this time. Let's go there.
Hello, I'm Fred Rowe from Sierra Bright Dot Fly Fishing Guide Service. I've been teaching, guiding, writing, and lecturing on fly fishing since 1982. We're expecting a change in the weather, hopefully bring us a storm that'll bring us snow that'll give us water for next year's streams, because this drought is nothing to fool around with. Okay, let's start with the Lower Owens River wild trout section. It's been fishing great. Size 20 blue-wing olive mayflies and size 20 caddis are hatching and making great action for the fish. The best time to fish has been 10 to 2. If you're out there when the hatch is on, you're going to catch fish. I've been primarily nymphing it with a size 20 pheasant tail under an indicator. Hot Creek Interpretive Site and Hot Creek Canyon are both fishing really bad right now. In fact, I don't recommend fishing there. What fish are feeding there are taking streamers or wet flies stripped across. There's a little bit of a blue-wing olive hatch, which means I saw exactly 4 mayflies hatch the other day, and I caught 2 fish on a pheasant tail nymph. Upper Owens River continues to produce some, not a lot, but a few, trophy trout, which are rainbow trout over 20 inches. Those fish are taking nymphs and streamers, dragged through the deepest parts of the holes and the runs. Best fishing there has been early morning to mid-afternoon. Bishop Creek Canal behind the Ford dealer has been fishing really good, 10 to 2, with caddis and blue-wing olive mayflies producing the hatch that's got the fish active and feeding. Fishing size 20 pheasant tail nymphs and size 20 caddis patterns is what's producing the fish. And that's this week's fly fishing report, brought to you by SierraBright.Fly Fishing, and we can be found on Instagram and Facebook.
Thanks, Fred.
Now we're going to go on location with Chill Bill Snyder.
He's been out there waiting for us for like 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a popsicle, Bill.
Well, thank you, Jason. God, I'm freezing my little butt out here. Little butt, Anyway, so this is the weekend weather for us here in Bishop. Friday, which would be, September or December 10th already, will be sunny with a high of 51, a low of 21. Saturday, not a whole lot of change, mostly sunny, high of 51, a low of 27. And then Sunday, of course, Sunday's going to be mostly sunny as opposed to partly cloudy, with a high of 57, a low of 32. Monday the 13th, a high of 56, a low of 35, and a 59% of showers. Tuesday gets even wetter, a high of 44, a low of 16, and 86% chance of rain and or snow. Smooth. Wednesday, a high of 40, a low of 21, partly cloudy. And Thursday, December 16th, mostly sunny, a high of 45 and a low of 19. This is Bill Snyder, KSRW, Laughing Parrot, Skippable News, Weather.
Thanks, Bill. Hope you like the way we're doing the weather. We banned Alexa. Now, for one of my favorite segments, Butthurt Comment of the Week. Not butthurt about the garbage lady who picks up our neighborhood garbage. She cleaned up the trash the birds had scattered from a neighbor's can. She didn't have to, but she did. People still do good things. I think that she deserves a random act of kindness for being kind to her neighbors and picking that trash up. Okay, we hardly ever get to do this, but we are doing a peeved off Owens Valley comment. It's Baby Yoda up here, says the truth will set you free, except on Facebook, where it will get you a 30-day ban.
Of course, it's now a meta ban.
Meta ban.
Because Jason's a week old, you know?
I know. I totally forgot that Facebook went total meta. Total meta, man. All right, that's this week's episode of Skippable News. We hope you enjoyed it. Guess what? We'll see you next week.
Bill Snyder, KSRW, Laughing Parrot, Skippable News, Weather. I miss you, Alexa. Put Jesus out of it.
I did, didn't I? As long as you keep him out of it, we're all okay, right? And then we're going to peeved off Owens Valley. We definitely am. So last week.